This is the Thursday, February 6th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. This might be a little bit of a longer video than normal, and hang with me. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about the potential storm system next week. Let's start off with a look back at the numbers from yesterday. We had some afternoon sun finally break out in a good portion of the Piedmont, and that allowed highs to bump up to around 60 in Charlotte and Fayetteville, 52 in Greensboro, 54 in Raleigh. Pretty chilly this morning region-wide. 40s near the coast, a lot of 30s elsewhere until you get to the mountains, and it's 20s, even some teens up that way. Colder air has returned. Some snow showers in Kentucky and West Virginia, but all is quiet across most of the region. And there are some areas of snow over parts of Oklahoma and Texas. That is with a little disturbance that might wind up bringing a few snow flurries or sprinkles to parts of the region tonight, but just not enough moisture for that to be anything of significance. Now let me show you what it looks like on the overall setup. Cold front from yesterday way down into Florida. High pressure slowly meandering from the plains up to the Ohio Valley in the northeast over the next couple of days. Around here today, a lot of these high-level clouds are going to be with us. Futurecast doing a nice job showing that for you. Here's a peek at Futurecast today. You can see those high clouds with us. And again tonight, maybe a few brief sprinkles or flurries. I just don't think it's going to be a big deal though. Here's what it looks like on the surface map. And again, there goes that quick little chance of some sprinkles or flurries later tonight. Tomorrow will be quiet and a few degrees milder than today, and then we begin to see an area of low pressure spin up near the Florida Atlantic coast, and that'll lift up pretty close to the Carolina coast through Saturday morning and into the afternoon hours Saturday too. This is the RPM model, and you can see the precipitation it is generating Saturday morning. And it is cold enough that that precipitation in the foothills and the mountains falls as snow, so a little bit of snow up that way Saturday morning. And I'll show you a couple other charts here in just a second. The GFS, it has been indicating, let me go back to this chart real quick. The GFS has been indicating a little bit more moisture up that way. I just saw the 6Z run, and it's similar, but just not enough moisture there to be a big deal. You might see some snowflakes down to Greensboro, maybe even further south than that, but Saturday morning. But again, I think the moisture a little bit too limited to be anything of real significance, and temperature is not exactly perfect to get snow accumulation either. Now, this was the 0Z GFS run for next week, and I've seen the 6Z run too. I'll show you all that here in just a moment, but the 0Z GFS was a major winter storm Tuesday, and especially Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Wednesday night across the region. There is the snowfall chart from the GFS. Again, that was the 0Z run. The European snowfall chart, also very impressive for that system. So let's get into some of the more detailed modeling. First of all, Saturday. This is the European upper air chart for Saturday morning, and that's that little wave of precipitation moving through. That's the precipitation representation on the European. There's Saturday morning and then Saturday afternoon. Again, some of the moisture could get up far enough north and west to interact with temperatures aloft that are cold enough to produce some snow. But at this point, it looks very limited in nature. Could be a dusting or so in some spots, but again, I'm not thinking that's going to be a huge deal. There's the Canadian representation, pretty similar overall, and there's your 850 temperatures on the Canadian, and you can see where you have sub-zero 850 temperatures. Generally speaking, that's a rough rain snow line. Let's go out to next week though. This is Tuesday, early afternoon, European model. All right, there comes that next piece of energy moving off the Pacific and into the desert Southwest, deepening over Texas and the lower Mississippi Valley. Then by Wednesday, and the result at the surface is a very healthy system. Again, those are the European charts. That's what the European looks like at 156 hours. Your low pressure there kind of over South Mississippi, pronounced cold air damming. And this is Wednesday morning. 850 temperatures sub-freezing down to Charlotte, over toward the Sandhills. The surface temperatures below freezing down into northeast Georgia. Let's go 6 hours later. Low pressure near Tuscaloosa. Strong cold air damming, and still a winter storm ongoing in parts of the region. The 850 line has retreated a little bit north to north of I-40, but the surface freezing line still down into the upstate. So that is in places like Charlotte, snow to ice on the European. Okay, and then finally at 168 hours, Still precipitation ongoing on the European model, and still some North Carolina, Piedmont, and foothill surface temperatures sub-freezing. All right, so that was the 0Z European. That was a major winter storm, especially the farther north you went in the region into North Carolina. In fact, the cold air damming areas of North Carolina pretty much had the vast majority of this precip fall as frozen or freezing precipitation. Okay, let's go to the 0Z GFS. Okay, this is what it looked like at Wednesday early afternoon. There's your disturbance. Okay, let's go out to, let's see. All right, there's 144 hours. So this is Tuesday evening on the GFS. And you've seen some precipitation breakout. This is, again, the 0Z run. You've seen precipitation breakout ahead of the main system. And there's your 850 temperatures at the time, sub-freezing I-40 down to the Tennessee-Georgia line. Okay, let's go out to 156 hours then on the 0Z GFS. Strong cold air damming signature, low pressure near Pensacola and Mobile. That's Wednesday morning at the time. 850 temperatures, but below freezing up near the Virginia border, but surface temperatures sub-freezing down to the North and South Carolina border. So that is a lot of ice at that point in time on the 0Z GFS in places around like Charlotte and even Greensboro, sleet or freezing rain. We go to Wednesday early afternoon. Again, this is the 0Z run of the GFS. Low pressure in South Georgia, very pronounced cold air damming, and 850 temperatures about where they were 6 hours earlier. Surface temperatures sub-freezing in many North Carolina spots, and 168 hours. Low pressure near Savannah. Cold air damming. The 850 temperatures begin to, I didn't put the 850s in there, but the 850 temperatures actually begin to crash some, and it kicks over to snow in a lot of those areas that have been seeing ice. Surface temperatures below freezing, and 180 hours. It was still some lingering snow. That's Thursday morning in a good chunk of North Carolina. Now, the 6Z run of the GFS has come in a little bit different. Okay, there is the 6Z surface representation there. This is Wednesday evening, and it is a much less intense system, much less precipitation. Makes it north into the cold air in North Carolina. So there's a much less significant winter storm on the most recent run of the GFS. Why? All right, here's the difference. All right, this is the 0Z run up at 500 millibars, a pretty sharp trough aloft, moving into the Mississippi Valley Wednesday morning. Here's the 6Z run at the same time, a much flatter wave. So that's why you get less of a winter storm. Now, again, you want to compare that to some other models. This was what the European looked like with that wave as it moved across. It was sharper, like the 0Z GFS. Now, before we wrap up the video, we'll look at a couple of ensemble charts here. Okay, so this is the GFS ensemble. This was, of course, the 0Z run. I don't have the 6Z yet in-house. Wednesday morning, low pressure being indicated near the Gulf Coast, cold air damming in there. And there's the European ensemble, very similar overall. So the ensembles are in agreement, at least with the 0Z cycle, of a winter storm, Tuesday into Wednesday, and lingering into Wednesday night. There's the hand-drawn chart from the folks at WPC. Low pressure near New Orleans Wednesday morning, cold air damming, rough indication of a winter storm there as well. And if you're wondering, the Canadian model, there it is as well. Low pressure tucked up near the Outer Banks Thursday evening, and snow flying in a good chunk of the Carolinas, some ice involved in some areas too. So what's the bottom line here? Well, the bottom line is, if I go back to this chart right here, okay, it's going to depend next week on this piece of energy. Now, I think there's less variability with this system than what we were trying to nail down for the weekend. You're not really dealing with the system having to phase with other pieces of energy. It's just kind of a standalone piece of energy that works its way across the lower 48 and the southern tier states, and I think there'll be less model waffling than what we saw leading up to the weekend system, but certainly some changes are inevitable, just like we saw with the 6Z run of the GFS compared to the 0Z, but something to definitely keep an eye on Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, that is it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.